And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RCPA chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight outside FD off. Bring in FD off. It's orange!
Orange 45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting with the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Good afternoon, everybody. You are taking a live look right now at the Launch and Landing Facility, also known as the Shuttle Landing Facility at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, where the next 4 astronauts to launch to the International Space Station aboard Crew-11 are set to touch down. I am Sawyer Rosenstein. I will be your host for this broadcast today, and I am joined on commentary here by Ryan Caton. Ryan, how's it going?
Hello, everybody. Isn't it a wonderful day? If only we could have had these conditions for the O3B launch the other day. Anyways, not jealous at all. It is a very pretty day indeed, and fingers crossed we should have a Gulfstream 5 touching down in a couple minutes' time with 4 NASA astronauts on board, which I'm sure we'll discuss in a second.
Absolutely. And out in the field, providing the views today, we have D-Wise and Max Evans. So they will be getting the video for you guys, some photos as well, and we'll get to hear from the astronauts shortly after they arrive as well. I'm amazed they're still functioning after the Starlink launch this morning. And functioning to produce the stream today is Jay Keegan. So thank you, Jay, for getting this all set up. So right now, we have been tracking the Gulfstream on flight radar with the crew arriving. Where are they at currently, Ryan?
Yep, so they're currently just doing their final turn before touching down on the runway. They are currently heading the north, which is the opposite direction to the runway. You can see they're just in the bottom right, but don't worry, this is a normal pattern. They're currently on what's called the downwind leg, so they'll make a right-hand turn to commence their base leg, which is kind of 90 degrees to the direction they'll be going when they're landing, which it looks like they're now commencing now, and then they'll then make another right-hand turn onto what is called final, which is the you guessed it, final descent down towards the runway. They're landing on the southeast rather, facing runway today, that being runway 15.
Yep. For those who don't know, it is runway 15 in one direction, runway 33 in the other, based off of magnetic headings. So that is what they'll be heading to. One of the longest runways in the world, about 15,000 feet in length. Now, the crew departed earlier today from Houston, Texas, as they get ready for the Crew-11 launch that is currently scheduled to take place just a couple days, no earlier than the 31st of July. So that is this coming Thursday. Why do they get here so early, Ryan?
Well, it's not like a train station where you can just turn up 5 minutes before the train leaves, get on, and then get on your way, right? So the crew overall, some of the events that we would see leading up to launch is they actually conduct some rehearsals prior to the launch itself. So one of them is a dry dress rehearsal, which is dry because they don't fuel the rocket. Fuel is wet, I suppose, is where that terminology comes from. You may have also heard the term wet dress rehearsal. We've seen that with Starship, for example, many a time. That's where they actually prepare the vehicle by loading it with fuel. So the ground teams and the support teams and the astronauts themselves will actually run through an entire launch day rehearsal from wake up to basically sitting in the rocket just before launch, without actually launching the rocket. So that way, by the time it comes to launch day on Thursday, the crew, the ground teams, everybody involved would have already been through that launch flow. They'd already know what to do. And don't get me wrong, the crew have already gone through a lot of training across the world, in the United States, in Japan, in Russia, but there's nothing like doing it for real. So actually being able to get onto the actual rocket you'll actually launch on, that's something pretty special.
Exactly. Get the practice in, so that way when the actual launch day comes, it just feels second nature, like it's another rehearsal. At least that's some of the astronauts I've spoken to. That's what they've described it as. So it looks like the plane is coming in to land here very shortly at the LLF/SLF, depending on your choice of phraseology here.
It's the shuttle landing facility. Come on, let's not beat about the bush. It's the shuttle landing facility.
I know, but I have to go with what it's also officially named as by the people that currently run it. So I know, Chad, I'm sure you're with me on this, that this is still the shuttle landing facility to this day.
Yep. And just if you're wondering why you can't see the plane yet, as Sawyer mentioned, this runway is very, very, very long. It's one of, if not the longest concrete runway in the world. And they just landed at the northern end, and all of the press are currently situated on the southern end. So it might be a few seconds before we do get sight on that Gulfstream 5. But they have just touched down at the launch and landing facility.
Here we go. So that is a 4-person crew that will be launching on Crew-11. That is Commander Zena Cardman, pilot Mike Fincke, and then mission specialist Kimiya Yui, and Oleg Platanov from Roscosmos. And I should mention Yui is also from JAXA, the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency. A reminder, if you have questions about the crew, about the mission, as we wait for them to roll up and give us some words, you can tag us at NASASpaceflight, and we will do our best to answer as many of them as we can. All right. So again, we should be seeing them rolling through. They used to come in the T-38s in the old days. Now we're getting the Gulfstreams, I guess, huh?
Maybe it's a little bit more comfortable. I don't know.
Yeah, I know they're also starting to retire out the T-38s, which is a shame. For those who don't know, that was the 2-seater jets that the astronauts typically flew in. And yeah, you can see there the name of the crew, and then, of course, Crew-11 for this one. I love the patch on this one, I'm just saying. So in regards to the crew, we have 2 rookies on this one, right? We have Oleg from Roscosmos, and Zena Cardman will be commanding this and making her first spaceflight, although this is not the first spaceflight that she has been booked for, right?
Yeah, I'm sure, as we'll discuss later when the crew actually arrives, but this is Zena's kind of second time around with a SpaceX Crew mission, but the first time she'll actually be flying on a SpaceX Crew mission, because she was originally assigned to command Crew-9, but then, as we see the aircraft now taxiing down the runway, if you don't remember, there was this little capsule called Starliner that flew to the International Space Station with Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams on board, and after some thruster issues and some other technical glitches, Boeing and NASA decided it was probably not the best idea to return the capsule with the crew on board. Therefore, Butch and Sonny needed 2 empty seats on a SpaceX Crew Dragon. That Crew Dragon ended up being Crew-9, which is why the 2 astronauts were bumped off of Crew-9 for empty seats on the way up, so they could be filled by Butch and Sonny on the way down. Zena Cardman, one of those astronauts, alongside, I believe, Stephanie Wilson.
Yep. And I talked to her about a week ago while she was still in Houston via Zoom, and she was talking about that, it's what they prepare for anything and they're ready for anything. She was still able to participate in the launch broadcast as a way to kind of still be involved with her crew, with Nick and the Russian cosmonaut that also went up, Nick Hay being the American astronaut there. He also is one of the final newer astronaut class members to fly. She was a member of a class called the Turtles. Every astronaut class gets a nickname from the class before them, and she's one of the final turtles to finally fly to space. I asked her, by the way, if there was any plans for a Turtle 0G indicator or anything, like there was on Crew 3, and all she said was, no spoilers. Uh, Plane continuing to roll in here. Pauline's asking, do we know why the Crew 10 rotation is so short? Because normally they're about 6 months. This one's what, 4 months-ish?
Yeah, I think we'll just give the plane a minute here to roll up, and then we can get to answering that one.
Yeah.
Shots going in.
You hear how loud the engines are, obviously.
Yeah, so getting to
And-
that question from Pauline, the reason that some of the crew rotations have been the durations have been varied a bit is I believe leading up to commercial resupply 33, which is going to be a cargo Dragon launching to the ISS, but it's going to be executing some interesting reboost opportunities in order to try and boost the International Space Station, as has already been proven with the Cargo Dragon. But essentially, they need the CRS-33 to be on station, docked to the station at a certain time with the basically the upgraded trunk, which will allow them to do these kind of scheduled reboosts rather than just testing it. They need CRS-33 to be docked at a specific time for a specific duration, and there's only 2 docking ports that NASA can play with for Cargo and Crew Dragon, and one of those, the forward port, is where the reboost, I believe, has to take place from, which just leaves one other port which they have to do the crew rotations from, which is why they're doing this crew rotation at a slightly different time.
There we go. Yeah, because normally they are about 6 months. That one, I believe, will come out to about 4 months, but still a lot of science and work still being done aboard the ISS with the current crew of 7 people up there for now. Here's a question from Space News from Michigan, not the Wyoming coast, I guess. Do you guys think Starliner will ever come close to Dragon? I want to hear your thoughts, and then I'll give mine.
I mean, they've come pretty close to each other before, considering Dragon launched from Slick 40 and Starliner launches from Slick 41, so they're like next door. They're next door paths, right? I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that question. If you mean by number of flights, I'd say probably not, unless Starliner gets some, huge beefy commercial contract to a commercial space station for 50-odd flights or something, Right now, it's looking like they'll only get single-digit number of flights into the International Space Station because, the ISS is planned to be retired in 5 years' time, and if they're doing, one Starliner mission a year, that's single digits, so it's looking unlikely, unfortunately, at this point, as the door opens.
There we go. Yeah, they also have to launch aboard Atlas V, which is set to retire. So Vulcan isn't crew rated yet, so I think it's still going to be a little while before we see a lot of Starliner flights. But it will be just a moment here before we see the crew making their way off of the Gulfstream jet. And there we go. You could see them waving to thunderous applause.
There you go, everybody off the aircraft now.
So we should see them walk over towards the press that are gathered here, the shuttle landing facility. They'll do their waves, they'll pose for some photos, and then we should hear a few words from each of them. There they are. Again, you can see Zena waving, then it's Mike Fincke to her right, then it was Kimiya Yui, and then Oleg all the way on the far right.
Good afternoon, everyone. Exciting day here at Kennedy Space Center as we welcome the Crew-11 flight crew ahead of their liftoff on a mission to the International Space Station. I am Steve Seislov with NASA's Office of Communication, and with us, having just arrived
There's
from
Zena
Houston,
Cardman,
we have,
pilot
NASA
Mike
astronauts,
Fincke,
Commander Zena
JAXA
Cardman,
astronaut Kimiya
pilot
Yui, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Oleg Platanov. We're going to hear from the crew in just a minute, and also take a few media questions from the group here gathered at the runway. Liftoff of the Crew-11 mission is slated for Thursday, July 31st at 12:09 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll be able to watch that on NASA Plus and on NASA's streaming channels. And with that, I will hand it over to Zena.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are absolutely joyed to be here at Kennedy Space Center. It's wonderful to see everyone who's here in person, and thank you so much to those tuning in remotely. It's my privilege to be here with a wonderful crew. Mike, Kimiya, Oleg have been fantastic teammates this entire time. We've been training together for over a year now, and we are ready to fly. Kennedy Space Center, landing here at the shuttle landing facility, for me personally as a first-time flyer, this is the first moment when it's really starting to feel real. This is the beginning of a week when things will feel progressively more and more real as we approach our launch, currently slated for the 31st. This is also a place of incredible history, and I'm so honored to be here with a crew taking part in this long history of human spaceflight. I am a first-time flyer, but we have the privilege of flying with people who have flown before and seen the International Space Station growing from its very beginning. It will be our honor to join Expedition 73 on board the International Space Station and to be there for the 25th anniversary of the ISS. It's so special to take part in something as grand as this human spaceflight endeavor that takes so many people, many of whom have flown here with us today, many of whom are at home in Houston or in our other homes around the world, from Japan, from Russia, and all of our training centers across the globe, including Cologne and in Hawthorne, California. Thank you so much to those of you who are here, and I want to leave it to my crewmates to say a few more words. We look forward to taking your questions. Thank you so much.
Boy, it's great to be back, and it was great to, like Zena said, to land at the shuttle landing facility. One of the last times I landed at the SLF was on a space shuttle on Endeavour, and now we get to go on another Endeavour, a Dragon Endeavour this time. And what a great crew to launch with. I've been on different crews before, but this one's exceptional. Zena, you wouldn't know that she's a first-time flyer. She brings in so much experience and compassion as a commander. Kimiya-san, Yui from Japan, fellow experienced guy. Really, he always has something wise to say. And Oleg Platanov, his sense of humor is even funnier than mine, so I got to take some notes. He's a great guy to fly with. So this is a great crew. We're looking forward to launching soon. I've been like to throw out a few extra thanks. Like Zena said, we are a humble and grateful crew. That's kind of some of our mottos. But we really want to say thanks to the teams that got us ready, the teams from SpaceX, and also to the commercial crew program, who worked extra hard to get us on time so that we can support the International Space Station program for all the fantastic things that are going on with the space station. I'm personally looking forward to going back up to the space station. I helped build it, and now I'm get to see it in its full maturity with 6 other crewmates. So without further ado, again, thank you for being here. Sorry for the heat, but it's Florida in the summertime. It's pretty nice. And here's my good friend Kimiya Yui-san.
Thank you for coming. I'm Kimiya Yui. I'm so grateful to be here as a part of this great team, Crew-11. I believe this Crew-11 member is one of the best ever. And I like this crew member because we respect each other, each other's, cultural differences, language differences, quite international. And I think during this mission, we will be able to show a good example of like international cooperation because of this very international, good, great team. And we trained together a long time, so we were ready, like my hairstyle. So I'm looking forward to fly with these great crew members. And also, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who is supporting this mission. Without everybody's help, we cannot fly. And my motto is guts and hard work. So I do my best for the mission success, and I work hard for the people who is supporting everybody, including you guys, actually. Thank you very much.
Hello everybody, my name is Oleg Platanov and I am mission specialist 2 for our Crew-11, and this is my honor to be here in the so unique and historical place, and I'm very glad to be here, and I'd like to say thank you very much to NASA, to SpaceX and for Roscosmos for this unique opportunity, and I have very super great crew, and I believe and I hope as soon as possible and on time we will be in space. Crew-11, go!
Thank you, everyone. We are going to open it up now for media questions. If you have a question, please come up to the microphone. Please limit it to one question per outlet, and we'll start with you.
Hi, Richard Tribou. Richard Tribou of the Orlando Sentinel. This question is for Zena. You were supposed to be the penultimate member of your, at least NASA side, Turtle class to make it to space. That didn't quite happen. But since you will be the last of the NASA side for Turtles, is there anything special related to that you have planned, that they have planned, and what is next for your class? Thanks.
Hey, thanks for the question. Yes, of course, in spaceflight, the journey is often nonlinear. It's just a privilege to be here with this crew especially. I have the privilege of overlapping with one of my classmates, Johnny Kim, who's currently on board as a member of Expedition 73. I also have the privilege of flying with Kimiya Yui, whose patch has a turtle on it, and so that makes him an honorary turtle in my heart. And of course, I'm just the last of the U.S. members of my turtle class. We have Canadian classmates as well, who I hope to see in orbit soon. It's such a journey, and I think, although of course for Crew-9 I had many hopes, the only thing that mattered was getting the crew home safely, and I think we all did our part together to make that happen.
Hi, Will Robinson-Smith with Spaceflight Now. Good to see you all again. Question for Mike, if I may. Since you've been, foundational in the commercial crew program since the get-go in 2014, I wonder now, that you're getting to fly as part of Crew-11, if you can kind of step back and look at, these past 11 crew rotation missions, the work that's been done both on the SpaceX side and the Boeing side that you've been involved in so thoroughly, and just kind of your sense of where we are right now and where we're going. Thanks.
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts on that, and I'll try to keep it short and sweet. When we retired the space shuttle, we had the promise and the hope to continue human spaceflight with American rockets and spaceships. We didn't know what they were going to look like. We came up in 2014 here at the Kennedy Space Center. We made the announcement for the commercial crew program TCAP contract, which we named two, surprisingly, Boeing and SpaceX competitors and partners to help us get to the space station. And it's been a really interesting journey watching brand new spaceships be built. We had some great ideas when we released TCAP, and what ended up was a little bit different, but I'm very proud of our teams, both SpaceX and Boeing, to what we've built together. And I'm really proud to actually finally fly on a commercial crew spacecraft, and of course I was part of the Boeing Starliner story, and that's a different story for a different day. But I'm looking forward. There's a good possibility for a Starliner to be on board at the same time as us, and it's really a privilege and honor to know so many different spacecraft. And I'm very proud of our American industry partners for building some really fine space flying machines. And I'm really excited about Dragon Endeavour. Who can imagine that we were going to fly them 6 times, or even more, right? The capsules from SpaceX. So go Crew-11 and go Endeavour.
Hi, Naoki Izuma with NHK. This question is for Yui-san. Yui-san, you'll be meeting Onishi-san in about a week. What do you hope to talk about with him when you first see him in orbit? Thank
you. Yes. Of course, he talking about vegetables. I don't like vegetables, so I don't want to see that. But first thing, I just really want to see my crewmate. I mean, Onishi-san. He's my best friend, and it's very rare opportunity to see my friends on orbit. And of course, I just want to do a lot of interesting experiments on orbit, and also I just want to work with other people, not only in Japan but all over the world, and looking forward to do a lot of fruitful result in this mission. Thank you.
Hello, Manuel Masanti from Exploración Espacial. A question for Zena or for anyone on the crew that would like to answer. We know that this mission is going to take a little bit longer to dock with the space station. Could you go into a few details on why it is the case?
Yeah, sure. That's really dictated by things like orbital dynamics, and we are where we are. The space station is where it is, and depending on its altitude and the phasing that we need to get there determines how long our phasing is. That's a really roundabout way of saying we don't decide, but we're happy to be flying. There are limits, of course, on that duration for many reasons, but we're within those limits, and we trust the teams that have gotten us ready.
Hi, I'm Greg with Earth Sky. My question is for Mike. From your experience in space, what has been the most significant negative effect that your body has undergone?
I think I lost some hair over the years. Maybe it was space, who knows? I'm going to answer your question a little differently than maybe the way it was asked. What I'm really proud about with the International Space Station, when we first started, we were really worried about bone loss. We had some crew members coming back from earlier space stations and who hadn't exercised. And we spent a lot of time and effort figuring out how to have countermeasures against bone loss. And on my first mission, I used an interim resistive exercise device, IRED, and that helped. But once we got the ARED, and I'm very proud to be one of the 2 folks that helped put it together first time, myself and Sandy Magnus, the ARED advanced resistive exercise device has really helped people with bone loss. It's still an issue, but it's no longer as scary to the NASA physiologists, and it helps us understand what we need to do to be ready to go to Moon and Mars. So I'm very proud of ARED. I got because I was one of the first guys to ever use it, and I'm proud of what we've been able to learn about humans living in space, because we are going out to the Moon and we are going to Mars, and we know what we're doing now.
Hi, my name's John Jack McGill. I'm with Wyandotte Connects TV. And this question is for each one of you. In the morning, your wake-up alarm, do you guys have music, or are you no nonsense with just a buzzer, if you can respond?
I'm a no-nonsense kind of person, otherwise I might not ever get out of bed. I'm the kind of person who likes to hit snooze, unfortunately.
Hi, Derek Newsom with DerekSpace.com. You mentioned this being the 6th flight of Crew Dragon Endeavour, which had originally only been certified for up to 5 flights. Could you detail some of the changes that had to be made between its last flight and now to increase that certification and potentially look for future missions?
Yeah, Yeah, really not a lot of changes specifically, other than making sure that each individual component is ready to go. Of course, the Dragon capsules get refurbished after every single flight, and so this one, because it's pushing the limits, it's the leader as far as experience for capsules. We're just being extra careful to make sure that we certify the entire vehicle, every detail from the inside out, which is really amazing. It takes a huge team of people to do this. They've been working nonstop for many months now. So with deep gratitude to that team for making sure that we'll be safe to fly.
And that was our last question today. Thank you so much. Again, this is the Crew-11 crew. They are heading to the International Space Station. Their liftoff is targeted for Thursday, July 31st, 12:09 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll be able to watch that countdown and liftoff on NASA Plus and on NASA's social media channels.
There we go. That is the crew of Crew-11, the 4 astronauts, or should I say 3 astronauts and 1 cosmonaut, that will be heading into space no earlier than this coming Thursday at 12:09 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, we will be live for that event. Anything stand out to you from that, Ryan?
Well, they're standing right now. I do like this pose. Do I get another pun token?
Yes, you do. And I'm sure we'll see some of these awesome photos on our social media accounts. If you're not following them, make sure you are. Let me thank RC Horseman as well for gifting 10 Red Team memberships during the stream. Very much appreciate it. And quite appropriate, today being the anniversary of the return to flight of the Space Shuttle back in 2005. Don't forget, we will be live for this launch next week. Ryan, thank you for joining me.
Pleasure as always. It's always awesome to hear from... Excuse me. It's always awesome to hear from a crew that is literally about to launch into space. These guys are putting themselves on the line for the future of research, scientific discovery, and, just general exploration. So the International Space Station has been really, really important and, instrumental in a number of areas, not only in space, but, literally improving life here on Earth. So it's always awesome to see these guys getting ready to swap out and have another crew replacement heading up very shortly.
Exactly. Thank you to D-Wise and to Max Evans for rolling out to the shuttle landing facility for this. Meanwhile, the crew will now head to the operations and checkout facility, which is where they will be quarantined until their launch. Also, thank you to Jay Keegan for producing the stream today. Very much appreciate that. Don't forget, we'll be going live about 3 hours before launch with our complete coverage on the 31st, so make sure you are subscribed so that you can join in for all of the launch day fun. I'm Sawyer Rosenstein. Let me first really quickly thank Bideford for the $20 super chat, thanking us for all the coverage. And then let me take a chance as well to thank you all for joining us. And we got Shuttle Sunday coming up tomorrow. Hopefully we'll see you for that. And if not, we'll see you for the next stream.
And here we go.
We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
Our Kimiya chamber pressure looks good.
Following up.
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange! Orange 45! Oh my god! Oh my god! Decollage! What is it? Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go. Indeed. We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting